Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who's going to be asking a question which might annoy some of the rap elitists who enjoy my videos and my thoughts. Is Sauce Walka a top MC? Now, I should tell you, my initial title was like, is he a top 5 MC or a top 10 MC? That was kind of clickbaity. I don't think that's fair to say he's a top 10 MC working now, but I do think there's an argument to be made that if there is an imaginary tier list of rappers, that he is an S-tier rapper right now. And definitely at least an A-tier rapper. And the reason that this is hard for rap elitists, and I'm going to get into a review of his new album, Dat Boy Den, which came out last week. The reason that this is so challenging is that it's not his flow, it's not his rhymes, like the things that we often really prize, a sort of technical flow, technical ability with rhymes, a sort of wide vocabulary. It's not really that lane where he excels. Rather, I think of him more in the ludicrous territory. And Ludacris is rarely cited as one of the greatest MCs of all time. I think that will change over time as we come to appreciate what he did. But, you know, what did Ludacris do? He was funny. He was charismatic. He brought a lot of Southern mentality. And beyond the crossover into the pop world, he sort of crossed over the Southern world into the Northern world, into the more general mainstream. He was a great storyteller, great punchlines, and really just that voice. And let's just, remember that hand-me-down flip-flops, hand-me-down socks is just one of the great rap lines of all time. I put that right up there with "It was just a dream," okay? Like, it is that quality of a line, even if it's not held in the same esteem. So I would put Sauce Walka kind of in that zone. And it's maybe hard to take seriously. If you don't even know who he is, he's a guy out of Houston. He's a part of a collective that all call themselves Sauce. There's a bunch of sauce going around. A lot of different regional areas will take a word and make that word mean everything, like Smurf or station. It's like sauce means splashing and splinting and stooping and wimping and, just throwing out words. And basically, sauce appears to apply to anything that is good from Houston. That's the basic idea. Anything that is done in a Houston way. Eating a Whataburger and finishing off with some kolaches while watching Justin Verlander. That's sauce. Tipping on fofos. I guess that's sauce. And here's a point, pretty important point, which should be clear by now, by my accent. I'm not actually technically from the South or even technically from Houston. I'm very East Coast. Everything that I know about Houston comes from a couple trips there, and I don't know that much about their rap music. Now, I do really enjoy this book. If you're into first-person accounts, these are just quotes from a lot of people who made Houston rap tapes by Lance Scott Walker. So, I've read this, and I've taught some about Houston rap, and I find it quite interesting. But anyway, so if you have a better idea of what sauce means and how it's used, please tell me, because I'm not an expert. It should be said that if you go to there's no sauce in this index, so it's a new term. It goes straight from Scarface to Screwed Up Click, So it's sort of a newer Houston thing. So in order to justify this idea of Sauce Walka being a top MC, I want to go back to my introduction to him. Now, he has appeared on Megan Thee Stallion's album, so he does have some mainstream appearances, but I first knew him from Hitler Wears Hermes 8, Side A by Westside Gun Behind Me, where the great curator himself, Westside, put Stove God Cooks, Boldy James, and Sauce Walka on the track Westheimer. Now, Boldy James, he's one of those top 10 MCs that edges out Sauce Walka from the top 10, one of those S-tier MCs. Sorry, my computer is not muted. And Stove God Cooks, in a lot of ways, is sort of like an upstate New York version of Sauce Walka. Now that I think about it, the sing-song quality, the comedy, the sort of like great personality and this great voice. I mean, realistically, Stove God Cooks is probably more, there's a little more meat on the bone if you're like sort of studying rhyme schemes and approach. But still, I argue that Sauce Walka's verse at the end of Westheimer is like one of the best verses on that entire project, and definitely the best verse of that song. He's going toe to toe with Boldy James, and I think he's making the best of it. I think he wins that verse. For lots of cheddar, all types of cheese, Swiss mozzarella. Shit, I done so much pepper jack. I should have owned a deli. Had to switch cells in the pen. Pushed down my celly on the west side with a gun. Pimped out the whole telly. A red roof on Westheimer. That's dead proof. Still tipping. Didn't last you. Those Texas diamonds on every tooth. On sauce. Oh, ooh wee. It's this great verse where it's like joking around about cheese and having cheese and should have owned the deli. And he has this way of delivering his lines, which is just so fun, but engaging and slightly menacing, which is definitely what early Ludacris was able to do, is what Stove God Cooks is able to do. It's sort of a different lane of rap music. And I think he does it really well, and I think he deserves more attention. So I'm not going to discuss this album in great detail. It's a long album. There's a lot of guest appearances by Sauce Charlie and Sauce Bobby and Sauce Lily and all. And it's sort of like the production on the whole. It's mostly done by someone, Iceman Chamberlain, with this great, sounds like NBA Jam, like Chamberlain does it. Cool producer tag. It's all solid. The whole album is solid. It's all good. It's all worth it. I listened to it 3-4 times while driving through Indiana and Ohio. It's great, but as far as like someone who's a part-time music critic, it takes, it's not quite worth going super into detail. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to focus on track 2, For the High. I went to Indiana to hang around with some friends of mine who collect Star Wars toys. Yeah, you're 6 minutes into a video of a guy talking about Houston rap who goes to Indiana to talk about Star Wars toys with middle-aged men. That's on you. And so it was interesting, right? Because I just play this song For the High. I'm driving people all over the place. I have a car. We're carpooling. And it's like a bunch of basically dudes from New York in their 40s and 50s who grew up on EPMD, who grew up on Public Enemy, and none of them are getting it. None of them see the value. They all just say this is trash. So part of this video is interesting because it's been me sort of trying to explain to this very hostile audience why this is good. I mean, production-wise, it's it's Chamberlain, and he's simple piano notes and trap beat, tons of this ooh-wee, Mr. Poopy Butthole style ad-libs, really vulgar and catchy chorus. And this is why I enjoy it so much. I just enjoy this chorus. I'm not even going to look at my notes. I can just sing it. Everybody knows I sell dick to the hoes, stretching out the... while I spit on their toes. I could do the whole thing. I could do the whole... I've heard it so many times. It's vulgar. It's kind of silly. It's sort of weird. And it's, in my opinion, just perfectly delivered. It's perfectly delivered for what you want, for a weird sort of raunchy sex song. A nice little snare work at the end of the chorus. And what I really want to focus on... It's just, so the song is, it's weird, right? So he's talking about essentially being a gigolo, like essentially selling dick to the hoes, and apparently everybody knows that he does it. I would ask my friends, did you know that Sauce Walka sells dick to the hoes? And he says, yes, everybody knows. It's universally known. It's a joke. It's not a good joke. But the way that these verses go, he's using very simple vocabulary, very simple, like overly declarative lines, almost old school in the way he pronounces them. But he tells this weird story of essentially being a gigolo or getting women to buy him things for his sexual performance, which first of all is an interesting inversion. I'm so used to pimp stuff and pimp this and pimp that to someone essentially rhyming about being his own pimp is like, I can't place it on the sort of time on a continuum of misogynist versus not misogynist, but it's at least interesting. It's a very different perspective. You don't expect midnight cowboy rap music. If I F a B, S word, I did her a favor. If I slut you out, I need a trip to Jamaica. Effing on a cougar till she makes some mashed potatoes. I don't know what that means. I looked it up on Urban Dictionary, and I don't think it means any of those things. I think I might know. I might know. But I don't want to say it, but I might know. Hit her doggy style, but my dick an alligator. her kid's in the house, shit, they better watch some cable. That's the line that gets me. This is that storytelling. He's talking about being with an older woman. He's talking these sort of weird, gross things and like referring to his penis as an alligator is like a goofy, funny line. And kids in the house, they better watch some cable. Like it, it's like this. It feels really real. It's like these little details that are punchlines, but also that lend a certain level of reality that really kind of paints this tableau. And I think Sauce Walka is doing it really well, and he's doing it very amusingly. And yeah, he's rhyming the word alligator with cable. That's the kind of sort of slanted false rhyming that Southern rappers are so good at. And then he goes into the whole chorus, which, I'm not going to rap again. I'm going to full Ben Shapiro territory. Yeah, she talked back, tell that stick in her throat. And then the second verse, just listen to this. Like, tell me this isn't delightful. Knocking down a model in her baby daddy's car. Rolls Royce truck, he's an NFL star. Like the way he overpronounces these lines. Dripping down Houston at 13 at the bar. Buying lamb chops off a little mama's card. Like buying lamb chops off a little mama's card. These details. It's also the funny choices of words. And this goes back to what he did with Westheimer. Maybe this is why I am saying that Sauce Walka is so good. Is like when he's talking about like pepper jack and deli, he's using words that you don't hear that much. He's not saying buying filet mignon off a little mama's card. He's not saying, buying Nobu sushi. He's buying lamb chops off little mama's card. Sleeping with two women in bed with an AR. Picked up $50K and got some head in her yard. Popped a trust fund baby and I got 200 large. Flew straight out from Canada and put it in my arms. It's this weird mixture of stories and humor and grotesqueness and sort of self-effacing. And in my opinion, it just puts Sauce Walka, for me, in that S tier. And it's not easy because I am one of those 40 to 50-year-old dudes from New York who grew up in the golden age of rap music and has had a hard time understanding that whatever comes out of here is valid. Still Tipping on Fofos is a valid rap hit. Like, it is a valid rap line. The style of music that they come up with, their flows, their subjects need to be treated with the same seriousness as Westside Gunn himself. So, like the rest of the album, it's great. It's all kind of here. Lots of, like, every single song has these kinds of punchlines and funny delivery. I do like that the album ends with a screwed up version of the song R.I.P. Pokey Freestyle. And, I don't know much about screwed up music. I read everything I could about DJ Screw and the art of slowing down music and chopping it up and making the mixtapes. And I've almost bought a couple of the mixtapes on eBay just out of curiosity as a collector, all that stuff. But what amazes me is just listening to it, how emotional it can be, like hearing these voices, even, especially in this track, there's like a change in intensity at a certain point, and Sauce's like voice and gets like more intense and more emotional, and like you're hearing it all slow down, and it's a nice reminder of sort of everything about the history of Houston rap and the current state of Houston rap. So there you go. Am I crazy? Should I not say that Sauce Walka is a top MC? I think he is, and I think we should all give him a chance. If you like this video, smash the like bucket. Subscribe if you haven't. I've been getting some hate on Reddit, so, it's alright. It happens, Hope I don't get hated on Reddit for this. Skye's falling off, like Sauce Walka. Okay, and thank you for watching. There's the camera.